Hey Ted, this is Elliot reviewing lesson number 3, which was yesterday, which was February 3rd, 2012. Just for point of reference, because this is something we talked about, and that was affecting your very first lesson, we have the yellow lines on here. Swing on the left, we'll notice you tugged on your arms a little bit, started to rotate. Right here you can see you start to rotate right away. Throws the club out in front of you a little bit, and club just gets, just over the line, and what we call over the top. If we did that and released the club correctly, you'd hit it dead left. But again, huge improvement over what we saw in the first week. You're just barely over that line. If we take a look, after all we focused on was keeping our back to the target a little longer, just a reminder to do that. You can see not quite as much rotation early, and the club gets put essentially right on that line and travels more or less all the way down. And this is when we were trying to hit those low draws after we put the club head in your hand and kind of talked about what our left hand and what our right hand needed to do in order to control the club face. So if I just move it down to kind of equal positions, very, very different looks for sure. But again, that wasn't our real focus. But if you want, I think one thing that causes, and we mentioned this yesterday, the big misses, the misses that cost you a shot or two on a hole, is when your shoulders rotate too quickly. Notice, if we look again, we don't see as much of your chest here as we do over here. So again, your shoulders just rotate too quickly. You kind of yank on the club, and you're not able to put it on the proper plane. So just keep making swings where you try to just keep your back to the target for as long as it will, and have the speed of the club handle kind of that body rotation. Let's get rid of those lines. And this is something we really did focus on. Again, this backswing is more or less right where we've talked about having it in order to hit a draw. Very different than the very first position we saw, and we see your left wrist is flat, the club face is slightly stronger than that. But again, good things for sure. As you start down, you'll notice we go from a fairly closed club face where we can see a lot of the grooves on the face, to, as the club moves in here, it begins to essentially open. We see a lot of the hosel. We don't quite see as much of the face of the club. And if we make a downswing like this, then we really have to rotate the club hard later in the downswing. As you can see, it still has, even at this position where the toe's in the air, still has a ton of squaring to do. If we look at the video where we tried to hit low draws after we talked about club face rotation a little bit, here when your hands are kind of right at, we'll say, navel high, going straight back towards the camera, we see a lot much more of the club face. The club face has started to square, started to rotate a little better. You'll notice we use that logo your glove example. Here we can see the logo your glove. Here we really can't. Somebody standing over here from the face on view could see it. So this club position on the right is exactly what we're looking to do in order, to completely eliminate you missing shots right, and just to make it a lot easier to consistently square the club face. We'll scroll down a few more frames. Here, club shaft parallel to the ground, toe towards the sky. You'll notice that's less rotated or less squared than this position here. Much less to do, much more consistent for a player who doesn't want to hit it, way right. So what's that mean in our forward swing? Or in a post-impact? Again, if we don't quite rotate the whole left arm correctly, we have a tendency to kind of flip the club head. And when you flip the club head, to help square up the face, your elbow collapses, makes it easier to basically flip the club head and use our hands incorrectly. So we've seen from face-on view some of that chicken wing action. Definitely from this view, we can see the bottom of your elbow. That's basically what a chicken wing looks like from down the line. If we look at this other video, and again, we were trying to hit, basically get the ball to go as low and left as possible, which it definitely did here. But you can see how when the club exits, The face is much more closed down, which in a full swing at full speed, we'd love to see you hit draws with that position. And because the left arm swiveled a little bit better, which we've talked a lot about, you can see that we don't quite see your elbow because it's more in sync with your body. And we don't have that left elbow breakdown or that chicken wing look. So this is an instance where practicing with, either, like we said, your cell phone or something flat in your hand, and just seeing what you need to do with each hand and each arm, in each hand and arm unit, actually, in an effort to release the club face to square the club face. This look here is what we want to see on every swing. For now, when the club exits your body or when we first see it, we don't want to see any of that left elbow collapsing down. You can also do that one arm drill where you just practice rotating the club with each individual arm. So great progress there, and the more and more we implement that into a fuller swing, the further ahead we're going to be. We'll take a look at face on, where we'll be able to see some of the same things. I actually got these flip-flops. Let me move them around just a second. There we go. We should have two different swings here. Hopefully I got them on the right side. I guess we'll find out in a second. And I do not. So for this one we got kind of backwards, but this is your before swing here on the right. Again, we make a good full turn in our backswing. Perfect job on the twist away that we get the club face towards the sky. You're definitely coiled behind the golf ball. On the forward swing, we still see a lot of the grooves on the face. We still see kind of a cupped left wrist and the logo of your glove. So we haven't quite turned the club like we had in the after video before. As a result, we're forced to kind of bend our elbow again. As we can see about here, a lot of bend in the left wrist, a lot of bend in the elbow. Again, that arm just hasn't quite rotated enough, and we can definitely tell because the club face is more or less still pointing towards the sky. A little shorter swing, little after video where we're trying to hit low draws. And we lose the club face a little bit, but we'll look at when your hands get to your left hip. We see the full logo of the glove. Here, again, you see a little bit more of the black on the knuckles. They're not quite as turned to the ground as they are. And where we're really going to see the difference is we see a little bit less bend in the elbow on this swing. Again, we don't see, quite as big an angle there. And as we get into the follow-through, there again we see that bending of the left elbow, that small chicken wing, where when we've swiveled our arm a little better, we just more or less see less of it. That allows this right arm to be a little bit straighter because the left arm swiveled a little bit better rather than under, and we can see the toe of the club has rotated more. Rather than the face of the club pointing towards the sky, we see the toe of the club. So continue to work on that left arm swiveling. We've given you a lot of drills over 3 weeks to do, more or less without the club. And now let's kind of add in the ones where we hold the club and we're actually swiveling the whole club, moving the club face to get, more of that, as we scroll forward, traditional look and finish. as opposed to just a swing where again we see a little bit more elbow bend here, and the right wrist has taken over and caused the left to collapse a little bit. So if we, just looks like a more comfortable position here. And again, if we can get this into your full swing more and more, you're going to hit more and more good shots. Again, the club face is turned back on the plane, exactly what we're looking to do. We've hit the golf ball rather than trying to scoop or lift or help the golf ball in the air. So good luck. If you have any questions, sorry for getting the pictures backwards in this video, but again, in this particular video, this was the before or the swing you came here with, and after getting that left wrist to swivel and rotate a little bit more, that's what we're looking for. This is a very good position here, and we'd like to repeat that as often as possible.